Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Amesey's Corner. So, I got a good one today. I got top 10 questions to ask a used car. Now this is questions to ask the car. I don't mean to ask the guy selling you the car, because that salesman, he doesn't know a lot about that one car you're looking at. He's got, what, 50, 60, who knows how many cars on the lot. You can't expect that guy that's selling you the car to know every detail of every car. So that's what you have to do as a buyer, is ask these 10 questions of the car itself. Number 10, has it been in any prior collisions? Now you can't ask the car, hey car, have you gotten in an accident before? It's not going to answer you. I don't care how nice you are. It's not going to answer you. You got to get under it and answer those questions yourself. The car is there. I don't care what the salesman says. I don't care what Carfax says. I don't care what your feelings tell you about the car. Unless you're somebody that works on cars for a living, these are questions you need to ask. Have you been in an accident? Now, what you're going to do to ask this question is you're going to look at the car. Look at the paint. Look at it in the light. Have a reflection going down the car of something bright beside it, and just look at the paint. Is it the same reflectivity the whole way down, or is there a section that kind of looks a little foggy? Maybe something's been going on. That's a good indication. Another indication of if the car's been in an accident is look at the panel gaps. When the doors are closed, the hood's closed, the trunk's closed, look at all of those seams where something closes. If anything's bent in the car, those seams are gonna open up. Those can be the toughest thing to get perfect on a repair, a crash repair. And I know what I'm talking about crash repairs. I put these together, and these are things I look for. Look for the paint, look for panels not fitting right, look for anything loose that just doesn't look right. Look under the car. Do you see any scratches under the car, or any kind of damage that might have been just left under it? You know, because if a car's been in an accident, it can rust out where that happened. It can have other issues going on. Wiring harnesses can get pulled. Just make sure it's a straight car. You know, if there is an accident and it has been in an accident, you really take a look at that work and put that into consideration when you're going to buy, when you're haggling with the price. You know, bumpers get scuffed. You're not really worried about the bumpers. You're worried about quarter panels, doors and fenders and hood and trunk. Make sure those fit. If the bumpers are a little not quite right, bumpers, that's what they do. They take bumps, they get hit. So look for sheet metal damage. Anything that's been repaired, any kind of thing that doesn't fit, doesn't look right, that's going to be a first indication to walk away. Number 9, look at the fastest wearing part of the car and how is it wearing. And that would be the tires. The fastest wearing part of any car on the road is the rubber. Are the tires worn evenly? Has it got all 4 of the same tires? Is the tread the same all the way across, or do the front tires bald on the edge? Is there a tire on the back bald on the edge? Another thing these guys in these dealers like to do selling used cars is they'll take the front wheels and put them on the back. I mean, everyone's going to look at the front wheels. Those are the wheels that steer the car, and if anything's out of whack, they're going to show it right away. Make sure it's got good tires on it, and don't take the salesman's word for any of this. Number 8, look for signs of water entry. Look for smells. Use your nose on this one. Cars will smell like a wet dog. Like if a Chevy Trailblazers have water entry, they'll smell like a wet dog. You know, you just get that faint odor. Look at the carpet for any stains, because water entry can do a lot of damage to a car. And if water has entered that car in the past through a leaky sunroof, some leak that's hard to find, well, it's probably going to happen again, and it's going to cause you some problems. So just make sure there's no water entry. You know, if it has an aftermarket sunroof, if the car came with a sunroof, fine. If it's a sunroof that has another name on it and didn't come with the car, leave that car alone. It's not for you. Do not trust a car with an aftermarket sunroof. If anything goes wrong with that sunroof, where are you going to go to get it fixed? Where are you going to get parts for it? I got more than a few cars that come through my bag, that pretty new cars that worth a lot of money, but the sunroof just lets water into the car and kills the value of the car. And a lot of people don't realize that. That's one aftermarket accessory you should avoid. Number 7. Take it for a road test and shut the radio off. Who cares if the radio works when you're buying a car? That's going to be the least of your worries, is the radio work. Listen for any rumbling noises, creaks or groans, hit bumps. When you're taking your road test in that used car, look for the crappiest road you can find. Bumps, potholes, hit them all. Hit them all. You're not going to do any damage to the car, but you are going to hear noises that you can point out to the salesman and haggle a lower price. Maybe there's something seriously wrong that he doesn't even know about. Who knows? Like I said, the salesman's selling so many cars, he can't know every detail about every one. Take it for a good hard road test. Make sure there's no clunks and bumps. Make sure it shifts right. That's huge. Get on the throttle. Make it downshift. Make it work. You know, really stress it out a little bit. You know, I don't mean take the car and go do a brake stand and a donut or drift around. I mean just get on the car. Make it work. You know, just like when you go to the doctor and do a stress test, he's got you running as fast as you can and all that. You want to do that to a car, because that's when it's going to show its faults. Is when it's being pushed to its limits. You know, but don't go over the limits, because I don't want you guys to go through the cabbage. Number 6, rust. This isn't going to be a problem in some parts of the world where it's nice, you know, Arizona, deserts, Saudi, wherever. But up here in New England, the number one thing that takes cars off the road up here is rust. Get your flashlight, look at the rocker panels, especially if there's a plastic rocker panel cover. Look under there. Get in there and look at it. You know, if maybe the car's low on the ground, bring a jack, bring whatever it takes, bring a mirror, look at the rockers, look at the quarter panels over the back, the wheel arches, look at those areas, because those are the most expensive areas and the most critical areas to rust out and have to fix. A fender can be unbolted, a new fender can be bolted on, but you can't bolt on rocker panels. You can't bolt on a rear quarter panel. Make sure the rockers and quarters have no rust. And that's big up here in New England. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of areas that see snow like we do and see what we got going on and just make sure it's not rusted out. Especially like a good example, about a year ago we had I think it was a 2010 or 2009 Jeep, what was it, not Renegade, you know, the small Jeeps. I'm having a moment here, but the frame was just rotted out. The thing, I think it only had like 60,000 miles. It was only a few years old, and the frame was completely rotted out. The guy had just bought the truck, went to have us put a sticker on it. I put it up on the lift, and I know to look at these Jeep frames. I know it's a problem with all Jeep frames rot out. And I looked at the frame, and the thing was just gone. I instantly I thought the thing was going to break in half on my lift, you know. And I showed it to the guy, and he was like, "Oh my God!" And he actually brought it back to where he bought it. It was a very reputable dealer, and they made it right. They I don't know exactly how, but I know he's not driving that Jeep anymore. So rust is big. You know, make sure there's no rust. That, you know, surface rust in a few unpainted parts like your axles and all that, that's okay. But sheet metal rust on the body panels is really tough and hard to fix. Number 5, you're going to look for interior wear. You know, how worn out is the brake pedal, the rubber pad on the brake pedal. That will tell you how, you know, you can have a car with 180,000 miles that has been gone on the highway, and that will rack up quick. You can have a car with 100,000 miles, but it's just driven 100,000 miles in a gravel pit, you know, and it's going to show that short trip wear on the gas pedal. Is the steering wheel worn out? Is the knobs worn out? Buttons worn out? That'll tell you just how much use a car has really had, is how worn out the interior is. I know it's not really something to worry about when buying if something little is broken, but it just gives you an idea. Just take that into consideration when you're looking at your used car. Number 4, make sure the car is cold. Try, you know, you want to look at a car that's been sitting for a couple of days. You know, usually these guys will start them up, take them for a road test and everything. You want to try to get it cold, because that's when an engine noise that can be expensive to fix is going to make its most noise, is cold startup. Make sure it's you don't hear any ticking, tapping, squealing, squeaking. Any of these noises you can use as a bargaining chip to get a lower price from that salesman. So you know, use those ears. Number 3, check the fluids, check the tranny fluid, check the engine oil. You can get test strips for the brake fluid, you can get test strips for the coolant. Test these fluids, or even just look at them, sniff test for the tranny fluid. If these fluids are dirty, that's another bargaining chip to get a lower price from that salesman. Number 2, and this is something I see a lot too, is the readiness monitors. Every OBD system, every car has a set of tests that it goes through. It tests for misfires, oxygen sensors, secondary air injection, catalytic converter efficiency. evaporative emissions. These are all things that get checked by the car pretty much every time you drive it. Some require certain circumstances, speeds, fuel levels to set those. Get a little scanner. You know, go buy it. If you're going to buy a used car, get a cheap little, as cheap as you can find, scanner. Any one of these is going to have what's called readiness monitors to check it. If you plug that in, your scanner in, and all those monitors have been cleared, none of them have passed, there's a good chance that car has a code that's going to come back. That check engine light is going to come back on because it just got erased. You know, maybe they just replaced a sensor that had gone bad and it hasn't been driven enough to do that test. Ask the salesman that question. Ask the salesman what's been done to it. Why are those readiness monitors not set? You know, don't buy a car that hasn't got its readiness monitors set. You know, that you can have a catalytic converter issue that they cleared the code hoping it won't come back, and you drive the car 100 miles, the check engine light pops on. Now you got to deal with it. You know, yeah, you can go back and have them fix it if you bought a warranty, but you still got to deal with it. And if that part failed, why did it fail? Is there something else going on with the car that caused that converter to fail or that part to fail? You know, make sure those readiness flags have passed on a car you're going to buy. Number one, and the most important thing you can ever do buying a used car, bring it to a separate mechanic. Don't bring it to the mechanic in their garage where you're buying the car. Go to the mechanic you go to all the time. Go to the guy you trust. Put it up on a lift. Any of these guys selling you a car will let you bring the car to your mechanic. And if they won't, don't do business with them. Don't you know, you're not going to let me take the car to have my mechanic look at it, then I'm not going to buy anything from you. So they'll put a dealer plate on it for you. You can drive it to your mechanic and have him look at it. Have someone in the know that does this for a living look at any car you're going to buy. You know, the 9 of these we went through are things you should look at before you get to number 1. But once you're at number 1, don't skip that. Do not skip that step. I don't care if you think you're a good shade tree mechanic. Have a mechanic who works on cars all the time. Put that car on the lift. Chances are the person that you're going to have, that professional that works on cars, is going to have seen that car and know what to look for. Going to know that that Jeep is going to have a rotten frame. Going to know that Honda clunk is just a sway bar bushing, or that tranny issue is a serious issue. Bring your car to a mechanic before you buy it. Don't buy anything without having it on a lift at an independent person that isn't associated with the people you're buying the car. And that's it. That's my top 10 questions to ask a used car. I hope this was informative, and until next time, guys, keep it out of the cabbage.